Welcome back to Analytical Sentient YouTube channel. Once again, wasn't that so cringe? If you say yes, I agree. So what was the point of that thing? Well, might be, for instance, the fact that it seems historically, some of the times I've went to hit record for a YouTube video, including today, that it's like, okay, hit beep, record, and it's like, thoughts bubble up to like, okay, like say hello or say greetings or no, or just, thoughts of how to frame an intro or, the first 30 seconds of a video basically. And I was just considering that perhaps it is, more so laziness, say, than, or relative to any other factor as to why I haven't or would not develop some type of just like 10-second or less intro to play at the beginning of the videos here, or even just like a 3-second logo or something to show, at the beginning of the videos. But if I did decide to develop something, it certainly wouldn't be like what I showed at the beginning of this video. Like that was purposefully cringe. It wouldn't even be something of myself. Most likely, it would be just like I say, like some graphics, like a logo or something, or certain symbol or some symbols, or text symbols, i.e., like a paragraph or a couple paragraphs or something like that. That emphasizes certain core concepts of ephilism. I mean, there's a whole range of possibilities. But again, as for my mind, it wouldn't be anything longer than a few seconds. Otherwise, it just seems it wouldn't be respecting people's time, and it just seems off for whatever reason. So, what are your thoughts? Okay, now on to the actual substance of the video. This is in response to a recent comment I noticed on my last video, Why Antinatalism 2024, and so I actually, as will be shown, did comment in the thread, but I didn't address the original post. When I was reading the original post, or the first comment in the thread, I was, okay, I'm going to respond to this, and I was like, I'm probably going to respond line by line, or basically point by point to everything that was in that comment. And considering just typing all that out, it might be a bit lengthy, and certainly I've experienced that before. It's like, oh, this comment that I did a bit too long, and then it's like, okay, I got to edit it down a little bit, or else TLDR, and just be more efficient or easier, at least more convenient for myself on my end. Just going to record myself, responding point by point. When it is a comment and you've got to explicitly type the text of the thoughts, right? You're transcribing your thoughts into text. It does force you, or it compels you to more critical or quality assured content that you're communicating, but I'm more than sufficiently confident in what my response is going to be. And while it might potentially, but it might not, it might potentially be at a standard that's slightly lower than what it would have been if I would have commented, okay, and took it longer probably to do it. It's still going to be accurate, and if there is some error with it, that can be pointed out, and then logical argument, proceed. Okay, here we are on the video, and okay, comments, which are sorted by newest. Anyhow, this is the thread. Brennen is the user. The philosophy of antinatalism seeks to create its morality about life. Okay, the philosophy of antinatalism. So first off, listen to my 2017 Why Antinatalism video, and that gives a decent description of what antinatalism is. Now, antinatalism in and of itself is not a complete philosophy. And again, it just between my 2017 and this video, that is clear between both of these videos why. It is, super specific, and this video explained that too. So I mean, why antinatalism, that's just it's a core, component and everything, but ephilism is much more complete. Antinatalism seeks to create its morality. It doesn't seek to create anything. It just identifies the factually negative value, negative valence, that is inextricably linked to procreation. Okay, without procreating, there isn't going to be a creation of a biological organism, including sentient organisms that are going to sense. They're going to perceive that sense, and they're going to perceive the inherently needs correction state of informally suffering, torture, pain, harm, all these informal symbols. Okay, but the referent is inherently negative, okay, intrinsic qualitative property to it. Okay, it creates its morality. It doesn't create anything, okay, it doesn't. It just identifies something. Create
Morality. Morality is just it seems to be the term that people always use when a better term is ethics. There's axiology and then there's applied axiology, which i.e. is ethics. Morality is more associated with dogma. I mean, what is morality? Can you even give a good definition of whatever it is? I never use the term. I mean, I'm not going to say never, but I mean, I hardly ever, and I highly doubt I used it in this video. If I did, then please timestamp that. But so yeah, it's just not. I mean, I've given a whole video about this, and he's like, this seeks to create its morality about life. It is about life. So that is correct. That is correct. Why is it about life? Well, because there's certainly no value, okay, outside the context of life. I'm not even going to clarify further on that other than to say, no, there's no value to, this mouse cursor right here even that I'm playing with. Anyway, there's no value to, like this white pixel right here, the period at the end of that. There's no value to that. The only value, okay, is in the set or the subset biology. More specifically, though, the subset of that set, okay, or that subset that is sentient biology. That's where all value is contained. So it seeks to create its morality about life. So yes, that if you're not talking about life, then you're not talking about anything that matters. I mean, that's you're not talking about any matter that matters. And I'm sure I haven't read all this now. I'm still in the first sentence, but I'm sure somewhere in here it's implicit in your, the problem with this is blah blah because what? Some effect that affects life, right? Like what is this? Would lose its value. Pain, pleasure would lose its value. So is it pleasure something that is? I mean, that's in the context of life, right? So you're saying, this is all about morality about life. Okay. Yes. Again, life is what. If you're not talking about life, you're not talking about anything that matters. I mean, unless you can give an argument of something that's outside the context of life, of biology, that matters, or that there's some type of some type of axiological, or some type of axiology that we're not identifying. Some type of axiological property or properties. Okay, so it runs on the logic that if pain and evil exist, no, it doesn't run on anything about evil. And again, you're talking about antinatalism. I was clear in the video, it's about sentiocentric antinatalism and ephilism, but you're not touching any of those, so whatever. It runs on the logic that if pain and evil exist, you are using the word evil, which again, I didn't use anywhere in the video. So you're responding to this video, so why are you using that? You're saying, but whatever. It is the problem of evil is, a related, philosophical or theological problem or whatnot. And yes, it's just obvious logic that there's no way to make any logical sense whatsoever. That, like there's an omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent, right? All three at the same time. And there's the reality that we observe where there's all this pain and quote-unquote evil, okay, that exists, and that is logical impossibility. Anyway, it runs on the logic that if pain and evil exist, we should not bring a new human into the world. No, it doesn't. It runs on, again, the logic that, okay, there is certain pain that will manifest. 100% certain. It will. Or else you are not a sentient organism, all right? So it will exist, and yes, evil or whatever you want to say, there's all types of, the world's unfair, all this whatever. It's like, yes, all these negative, there's no fairness, there's no, justice system inherently to the cosmos or anything like that, or on planet Earth or anything, anywhere, okay? There's no inherent intelligence or, any of that, innately rational regulating force, omniscient, omnibenevolent, omnipotent deity or anything like that. And yes, humans are, not much better than the other non-human animals in terms of, consistently representing or resembling something that is towards that. So, and just all the natural forces that will impose on you. There's no control over any of that. So it's not just whether or not these exist and then just full stop, therefore. No, it's that not only do they exist, but the procreator has no control over them. No control. No control to assuredly scale the level and severity of those that someone's going to experience to a certain level or a certain threshold, or how much they're going to impose on someone else to a certain threshold. They have no control over doing any of that. They have a tiny bit of influence, probabilistic influence. And when they procreate, they are therefore, whether knowingly or not, typically it's going to be at some level of knowingly, unless you're like totally brain dead, that yes, they are introducing all that hazard, I was going to say all that risk, but I mean, it's basically, I mean, if the child manifests, then it's a hazard. It's, you know, it's for sure. It's a sure risk. You know, whatever. I'm not saying it perfectly, but, okay. So anyway, we should not bring a new human into the world. Yes, I mean, we should not bring a new sentient into the world when there's an asymmetry. Axiological, you didn't touch on anything about the asymmetry either. This has a very heavy hedonistic bias. Okay, please explain your axiology and how there is no hedonic pressure or anything that, see, and you're probably thinking of the traditional, or at least that is what is going to be associated with this term often. It's like almost like a trigger word, or almost like a, you know, there's going to be a reflexive interpretation of traditional hedonism and hedonists and all that type of. No, it's not about that at all. It's just talking about literally a common term that is used, quality of life. What does that even mean if not for that aspect, the affective aspect, valence? It all comes down to valence. It all comes down to valence. And no, again, that's not the most appropriate term to even use whatsoever, because again, it is predominantly used when you're talking about someone talking about a positive axiological asymmetry, which is literally the opposite of what centric antinatalism, certainly ephilism, what they outline. So no, it doesn't. I wouldn't say it has that at all. I mean, can you please define this? And then again, please explain what you understand as, you know, unless you are a nihilist, you know, and then I'll show you that you've got some element of this. It's impossible, depending on what you mean. If you mean that yes, it's about optimizing the quality of experience. Oh, that's bias in terms of the quality of experience. Well, yes, that's all what it comes down to is quality of experience. And, you know, like all the instrumental effectors on that, or what affects that, is all just instrumental. That's all subjective. What's objective is that is what is objectively at the core of what is driving everyone to, oh, well, it's this, or oh, well, it's that. It's like, okay, what is driving you to optimize X, optimize Y? It's always at the basis of it. So, you know, if that's what you're talking about, then yes, of course it has that. You know, it's not a bias. It's just a logically entailed fact that's being identified. So to it, that assumes that the point of life is to be enjoyed or primarily pleasurable. No, it doesn't assume any of that. It does not assume that whatsoever. If I recall, I explained it in the video. We were not created, okay, or intelligently engineered by a mythical deity or something that... This is basically implying an argument ad naturam, or argument from nature, appeal to nature, logical fallacy. And it is not implicit in the argument. The point of life is to be enjoyed or primarily pleasurable. No, the point is obviously to replicate a DNA molecule. Okay, in terms of the point, there is no point in terms of purpose that is consciously contained as a intent or intention. It's all unintended. It's all unauthorized in the sense that there is no author that, you know, has anything that you would describe as, oh, containing agency or anything like that. No, it was all simple forces, and we are now at the supervenient, like a supervenient level, okay, of all this highly complex consciousness and all that, and we are experiencing the invalid logic of basically the instantiation of the declaration of the negative value assignment that was realized as soon as the first sentient was produced. But regardless of the fact that that's not the... Again, and that's what, unless you're meaning something like, what are you meaning by this? Because if you're meaning, well, that's not what the natural point, yeah, that's the point, is there is no natural point. There's just that this is what the forces are doing. They're logically blind. They're irrational. They're not intelligent. But that doesn't preclude the fact that, okay, real value has in fact been generated and is now continually accumulating in the negative direction predominantly, which again, you haven't even touched on the negative asymmetry. You're just saying, I mean, this is totally like backwards, or totally like just distorted in terms of the fact that that's not what it assumes at all. Like, you have not demonstrated that whatsoever, and it doesn't accurately reflect anything from the video. So, you know, I'm not sure if you actually listened intently to the entire video, or if you even listened at all to the entire video. Pleasure is only one aspect of the greater whole of life. Though only one aspect of the greater whole. One aspect of the greater whole. So yes, pleasure is only one aspect, which again, pleasure is not even, pleasure is not even the best word anyways, I would argue, but pleasure is only one aspect. So pleasure, I mean, you know what, a vegetative state of relief or of liberation from all the negatives, all the deprivation, or from boredom, or from loneliness, or from all that, or from from craving, or from But anyway, even if assuming that your absolute positive pleasure was something, to say that it's only one aspect of the greater whole, you're basically, what else would this be doing other than implying that, oh well, pleasure is just a small element, like it's a minority, right? You're not saying that, but what is it, 50%, or was it more? I mean, what are you saying? Because again, I had never in the video pointed to pleasure as anything of predominant emphasis at all. Because it's just, this is this all positive axiological framing, which is just totally in contrary to a rational, sentiocentric, antinatalist, etholist model. So it doesn't make any sense. Evil and hardship are simply challenges. Evil and hardship are simply challenges that fuel our desire to achieve and overcome. So the only hormetic, so to speak, or the only worthy challenge is the challenge to objectively optimize the value equation, the qualitative reality, okay, that is continually manifesting. If you're not doing that, then whatever these challenges, because implicitly I'm taking this to say, okay, well, it's like this stoic type, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger type. I mean, if not, then what else would it be, right? What else would it be? And again, I'm not denying that that is not a real thing. I mean, you've got to have, there's got to be some level of effort. There's got to be some level of hardship, some level of pain, suffering, a struggle endured. I mean, if you're, take it to the extreme, you're like, it's too much of a burden to go and grab some water or to eat, or to, you're just totally down in the dumps, depressed, or whatever, whatever it is. Relative to if you're committed to doing what you can to be a good force, then, or to be as good of a force as you can, then yes, that is basically a challenge to fuel your desire to achieve and overcome. I mean, this is just like psychology talk, but mostly. I mean, it's like, whatever. Without pain, pleasure would lose its value. Let's go back to this. Maybe it's going to be like, you didn't address it very well. Evil and hardship are simply challenges. Again, I never use the term evil. So what are you talking about? And then I say hardship. Hardship are simply challenges that fuel our desire to achieve and overcome. Okay, I'll take it back to the video. Let's go to, where are we at here? Let's go to some of these examples. Simply challenges that are, fuel our desire to achieve and overcome. Okay, this is mental health crisis or whatever. And what else are there? What other examples are there? Okay, yes. So how about you tell all these kids that, this is simply a challenge to fuel your desire to achieve and overcome. I mean, I just, it's seems off, right? Simply challenges to, because there are cases where, right, there are cases where the challenge is the challenge, there's cases where this, right, this is incurred, and then someone dies, before being literally physically being able to do it. Like, so say someone's tortured, okay, and then they're shot after they're tortured. Okay, then how would that therefore then be this? How? Right? And that's just like the simplest, broadest way that just, I would say, decidedly or just definitively refutes that, no, they are necessarily just simply challenges that fuel our desire to achieve and overcome. It's like, no, that's BS. That is such BS. Without pain, pleasure would lose its value. Without pleasure, pain would lose its value. Let's flip that around. Without pleasure, pain would lose its value. No, that just doesn't seem, it just doesn't seem apt at all. But without pain, pleasure would lose it. I mean, that's part of the point, but you need to take it even further than that. The point is that pleasure is actually, this is not an absolute positive. This is an absolute negative. Okay, and when you dynamically shift from a deeper level of this to a more shallow level or closer to neutral, then you dynamically experience the illusion of this. Okay, that's etholist argument, but again, you're not touching on it at all. Anyway, Without life, there is nothing to create. Without life, there is nothing to create. That doesn't make any sense. No, there's plenty of things that are being created because there's plenty of interactions that are continuing to occur. There's plenty of, unless you're just using the word create, oh, if it's not life, if it's not biology, including like, parameciums or whatever, or in like, mosquitoes and, whatever, that's just the most overtly, like hardly anyone, sits there to say like, oh, this is just so beautiful and so good and so positively valuable or whatever. It's not being created. If let's say we rid the world of mosquitoes and we somehow were able to do so and not collapse several subset ecosystems or something or whatever. But no, that's not even correct. Okay, without life there's nothing to create. It doesn't even make any sense. That's basically saying that we are everything. That's basically what that is saying. But anyway, if everyone chose to indulge in antinatalism, to indulge in it, eventually no one would exist to be able to indulge in the unpredictable. Okay, so if everyone chose to indulge, eventually no one would exist. Yes, exactly. And you're like, no, that's terrible. No, it's not. The universe is not degraded because of that. But therefore, no one would be able to indulge in the unpredictable parts of life that bring it color and diversity on all planes of being. So, if there is a lack of color, okay, and diversity on all planes of being, then that is an urgent or high pry. It's a high pry problem for the universe, isn't it? No, I don't think you've demonstrated that. So anyway, at the end of the day, you get to choose. Oh shoot, what is going on? Okay, at the end of the day, what am I doing? There we go. At the end of the day, you get to choose what you do with your life. Yes, of course. It's like a democratic dialectical, argument and whatnot. I'm not mandating that you must be logical, but you are illogical. You get to choose what you do with your life, but just know that someone or something greater than their creation, created you. Someone or something greater than their creation created you. Someone or something greater than their creation created you. What does that even mean? What is this, poetry? Someone or something greater than the creation created you. I mean, there's multiple different ways I could interpret this, but just can you please explicate on this so that you can create and give outside of yourself. Yes, you can create and give outside of yourself. It's like, it just seems like when there's not a real argument, then they just like, what's it called? Resort to these like more ambiguous, like poetic, kind of like claims and whatnot. And so it's like more difficult to drill down and discern if it's like 100% BS or it's only like 99% BS. And by the way, if it's 99% BS, that other like 1%, you would just explicate that specifically. You wouldn't give this broad, like ambiguous mush. Then they can create and give outside their self. Because like, for example, like the 1% of like, okay, yes, like now once you understand the, reality as outlined basically in this video, the YN 2024, then yes, you can work to apply that understanding. And you can give relief. Okay, you can give relief. You can give resources to others that are working on taking the BS and the suck down to a lower level. The suck, i.e., the suffering, and the BS. I mean, there's all types of BS, everywhere. So, and many times, yes, it fuels the suck. So anyway. If everyone chose to indulge in AN, there'd be no one around to suffer the loss of life's value. Precisely. There'd be no one around to suffer the loss of life's value. So much more, much more brevity here, right? That's basically what a lot of this is that, okay, well, life's got this value, okay? So if there's no procreation, there's not going to be any of this positive value, okay, more specifically. And, but it didn't, it's just, and this is structurally, it's organized, I would say, relatively, but it's, in terms of logically, it's just not too much. But anyway, that sounds like depression and giving up. This is about where I chimed in shortly, but that sounds like depression and giving up mindset. It sounds like nihilism. Nihilism is hitting rock bottom, but it's not the end of the story. No, that's, as I say, I'm going to jump to my, nihilism is negation of value, not negative value. and there's a similar point I did in my first comment response video. That was like, in response to the logic only zone. Moreover, plenty of nihilists emphasize an existentialism type mindset. Yes. Or make up your own meaning to be happy, or some other mush like that. That is basically just a selfish framework aimed at, and whether this is conceited or even consciously realized or not, is basically aimed at maximizing their own valence without addressing the obvious objective error in that logic or illogic. Okay, it's illogic. It's illogical. Regardless, it isn't about mindset or, like comforting or convenient, but any psychological temperament. It is about accurate axiological analysis, okay? Analysis of axiology, the study of value, valuation, evaluating, value systems, all that. Is there anything to it? Is it all BS? And no, it's not. But you're saying, oh no, life has the positive value. I mean, that's what's implicit in all your, without life, there's nothing to, I mean, that's what, again, here, if everyone chooses to indulge, there'll be no one around to suffer the loss of life's value, which is a fact. But, whatever. Okay, so I skipped over this earlier. My psychological well-being is unreliant on the current or future existence of other sentient beings. I wish I could say the same, but, I mean, if that was totally the case, then I probably would not be doing this channel. And I would like that, I mean, that's basically, like nihilism. I mean, in a sense, in terms of, you're not worried about all that. I'm just saying, not in terms of nihilism, there's logically there's no logical basis to such psychological affect in relation to whether or not there's other sentient beings. So anyway, a bit sloppy because this is off the cuff, but go ahead and shred it apart if you can. I doubt you can though.